2012. Before we start, I want to say a big thank you to Joanne and the team who were working here till almost midnight last night getting everything ready. And that was particularly difficult in Joanne's case because she had a rental car which was a diesel and she put petrol in it. So she was here late. I couldn't get a photograph of Joanne. That's the best I could do. That's not Joanne, obviously. It was a similar kind of thing, I thought. Okay, a big thank you to all of our sponsors again this year that have helped out with the bills. They're all there in the main dinner hall. Please have a look around them as you go around today. And there's a couple of things I want to just cover before I get into the future of Frog. And the first one is that we've had another busy year this year. It's a little bit quiet around Christmas time, but we're still growing very rapidly as a company. And we still expect to do that again next year. We do intend eventually to turn the whole country blue. And a quick reminder of what Frog is all about, what the whole purpose of Frog has been from our point of view, or the first stage of Frog. And that's about innovation in the classroom. It's about teachers being able to innovate because they understand the 30 kids in front of them, and then being able to use technology without having them going and asking somebody in the technical team to do it. Frog does lots of other things as well, but our primary focus has been around innovation in the classroom. Okay, I'm just going to mention a little bit about Malaysia. Most of you are probably aware that we've won a contract to provide every single school, every single secondary school and every single primary school in Malaysia. And that's 10,000 schools and 6 million users, 4 million kids and 2 million parents, I think it is. And this has been as part of a much broader project. And what they've done over there is they've got 4G. We don't have that in this country for another year or two yet, but they've got 4G provided down the whole spine of the country now. Last year, they had around about 30% mobile data penetration. By the end of this year, 90% of the country will be wired up with 4G devices. And these guys are getting 15 megabits a second to their mobile phones. It's astonishing. And these masts are placed on the school. So every single school, wirelessly, has got 45 meg coming into it and 15 meg going up. And on top of this, there's a 4-kilometer radius on each of these masts. So every single member of the community, the parents and the kids, get free internet access from home into Frog. So we've got this fantastic infrastructure over there where the entire community is wired at no cost to themselves whatsoever. And Frog is acting as the glue that links all of that together. It's a fantastic opportunity for us and very exciting project. What we've done there, some of you may remember Kate Heel, the operations director at Frog. She's gone across to Malaysia along with Damien, our head trainer, and Az and Helen from support. And we've set up another business over there called Frog Asia. And the reason we've done that is in essence to make sure it doesn't affect us. There are lots of businesses like us that have tried going abroad and they've ended up spending all their attention overseas and not looking after their home ground. So we've dealt with that by splitting out a separate company, taking some of our key staff to run that. We don't have to do anything at all with Frog Asia and the implementation of it and the training of it. All we have to do is continue developing our product going forward. So it won't affect the UK in a negative way, but I'll cover in a minute how it's going to affect it in a positive way. And this all has to be done in 12 months. So we have to deliver 10,000 schools in 12 months, which will be interesting for them, I suspect. We've got a little video that they've built around a new product that we've built for them, which is called Frog OS. We call it OS. It stands for Operating System. Everybody here will get that. You'll be following on around about 6 months after. This product is live over in Malaysia. It's tablet friendly, and I'll cover that a little bit more later on. But just want to reassure everybody that you'll be getting this as well, and it won't cost anything. Okay? Okay, that's a video they did themselves over in Asia. From our point of view, it's great to see something like that somebody else has done and we've had no hand in it. It feels like it's growing beyond just ourselves from Halifax. I'm going to give you a super quick demo of Frog OS, just a little taster of one or two things that it does. If you want a proper demo, there's some pods in the main hall. You're welcome to go and have a look. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show on here, usually this is loaded full screen, if I can remember how to do that on a Microsoft machine. So it's shown full screen. The idea behind this is we use as little screen space as possible for what we want. So we have a little bar at the top, and then the entire screen is available for everybody else to use. And all of the applications are available from up at the top there. So the first thing I might try, I'm just going to make it not full screen to show something else first. The first thing I'm going to try is opening the Resource Manager. And this is like my computer in Frog today. And if I go into My Documents, and I want to add a file, instead of hitting Choose File and picking it from a directory, in the new Frog I can just grab an image off the desktop, drop it in there, and I'm done. I'll make that full screen again. And you'll see that these are all loading windows. So although this is all running in a browser, it looks and feels like an operating system. So if I double-click this image, for example, and apologies for the image that it is, I couldn't resist. You'll see that that's loaded in an image as well. And if I want to load the preferences up, because there's no toolkit in Frog OS, there's no need, everything's stored in the preferences. I've got all these windows open simultaneously, and I can access them from a little bar at the top. And what we're doing there is we're keeping them all open at the same time. So if you've got an email that you're penning, and on the right-hand side here, there's a notifications bar that will tell you maybe you've got some new work or something like that. You can jump out to the new piece of work that you need to do, jump back to the email and carry on where you left off. So we're not in the situation where when you click something, you lose everything you're doing. I'll just close some of those. And also in here, if I want to move that file into the images folder, I just pick it up and drag it in. If I want to move it back out, I just drag it back out. So everything's much slicker. We're using HTML5 throughout all of this, which means it works on a tablet. I am going to show you the iPad in just a moment, where you've got finger gestures and you can actually build content on the iPad as well. But it should work on any device which is using HTML5, and increasingly that's everything, so it's going to be completely device independent. The other two areas I'll show you. In Frog 3, each unit we had was effectively a web page. If you wanted to build a website, you had to build lots of pages and then link them together. We don't have that concept in Frog OS. There are two different concepts. One is applications, which is things like your diary, your assignment manager, your email systems. And the whole point behind what we're doing here is instead of Frog providing diaries and emails, we're going to connect this into everything. So what we're doing in Malaysia is we're linking with people like Google, with Microsoft, the Khan Academy, and all the different tools out there. The whole point of what we're trying to do this time round is allow you guys to choose what you want, whether that's free software, be it WordPress, Google, Microsoft, or whether it's paid software. Our job is to link all of that together into one seamless system, one seamless user experience. And there's more to that than single sign-on, which I'll cover in a moment. The other thing we have is a site. I'm just going to create a new site on here to show you how this works. So inside there I can choose a theme. I'll pick that one. And an icon. And that's created a website. And I've got an edit button, which will be familiar to most of you. And I can change the layout. Maybe I want 2 columns. So we've simplified this. The idea behind this is to make it a lot simpler without losing any of the strength of the Frog 3 editor. And if I go into the widgets, I can drag in, say, a media brick. And if I click on that, I don't know why I search for that, it's just a habit. So what this is now doing when I search is it's searching the whole Frog store. This will include the resources on your box as well, the same as it would in Frog 3. And I'm looking for images on here. So I've limited that down to images. Now maybe on here I know that I want to use 2 different images. So instead of sticking one onto the page and then going and doing the whole process again, what I can do with this is find an image I like, and I can pin it. And what that's done is it's added it into my pin board, and I can have about a dozen different items in there which I can attach in. And then maybe I want to use that swan. So I've used the swan on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side I want to use the other image that I pinned, and without having to go back and do another search, I can just click on the pin board and pick that image. That could have been a video as well, it could have been a resource, it could have been I Am Learning or Education City resource, it could have been anything, a Khan Academy video, whatever. The other minor change here is that we can build the structure of the site from within here as well. So if I want to add a new page into this, I just click the plus sign, call that page 2. And I can change the layout on that one to maybe 3 columns, and drag, oh, missed pressing it then. And drag other widgets on. I won't go into that in any more detail. There are sub-menus that we can create as well. But the idea behind this is you can build the entire site structure yourself without having to get even involved in things like links. And finally, if you don't like the way it looks, all of these designs are built this time around not using Frog, using Dreamweaver. So anybody with industry standard skills can build completely new templates for this with completely different menu structures. You can build your own menus in this. You can do whatever you like. Okay, I think that'll do for that bit. Not going to show a great deal on this, but an iPad, you can swish it with your finger, which is lovely. And also, if you hold your finger down on the widgets, you'll see everything start shaking. And we can drag those widgets onto the screen. So the idea behind this is that you can sit there with a glass of wine, watching TV, preparing your lesson for tomorrow without having to go and sit in the back room. Apologies for that. Okay, I'll leave that at that. So that's Frog OS. There are bound to be questions from a lot of people about you've got all this work in Frog 3 and how's that going to work with Frog OS? How are these things all going to fit together? So during lunch, if anybody's interested in doing that, I'll be back on here just for questions and answers, whatever you want to ask. We'll go through everything about how that would happen and when it might happen. Okay, so going back to Malaysia and what that means to you guys. As I've said earlier, we've got staff over there to make sure that we're not affected by the day-to-day running of that project. But it does have very significant implications for us in the UK, not least because of the size of the contract and the relationship that we have with the company over there that helped us to win that contract. So the first thing that means is that we are changing from being a relatively small business in the north of England to becoming a world-class company in a variety of different ways, not just the software, but the way that we're structured as well. We've recently had a guy, no pun intended, called Guy, join us. He previously worked in a big insurance agency, ran a £7.5 million business unit there, and money's involved, so the level of service inside the insurance industry has to be absolutely fantastic, otherwise people get very upset. Guy's now our operations director looking after the UK side. Some of you may have already seen some quite significant improvements in what we do day to day. That's down to Guy. We also now have a lady called Lisa Crow who's running an upscale testing team. She previously used to work for Farnell, and prior to that Lloyds Bank as their head of testing. We have a program team. Hitesh is our first manager but we have a team of program managers to make sure that things don't fall through the holes, particularly on bigger projects. And we also have a guy called Sean Gagan, who used to be the development manager for the RM Integris project, the MIS that RM have built, and I'll cover in a moment why Sean's joining us. The big thing for you guys is the number of developers that we have now, the number of support